People engaged, it's time for Dueling Decades. The Matrix and Blade versus Bloodsport and Renegade. Strap on that cap, bust out the power glove. Come fight for what you love.
Dueling Decades.
Poop culture, popping pins, dropping hand grenades. Van Halen locked in Mortal Kombat with David Gray. Banner Ballet and Sick, Iron Maiden, GNR. Come fight for what you love.
Dueling Decades.
Broadcasting from the BioBidet Studios, where water does it better. Welcome, video heads, to another episode of Dueling Decades, here on Poop Culture, the rad, righteous, retro game show where we make the 80s and 90s fight it out as we debate these two dope decades. Let's take a look at the teams and the decades they will be fighting for. First off, representing December of 1992.
I'm Bo Beecraft, fighting alongside Mike Ranger.
Hello.
What do we decide on the team name? Are we going? We're going with Jason Priestley's cock, I believe, is what we're going with this week.
That's my favorite one.
And my partner, who I will be representing December of 1983 with.
That's right. I'm Rick Mancrush, and I will be partnering up with Mark James, and we are the Mama Lukes.
And as always, here on Dueling Decades, we need someone to hold down the law and order. So put your hands together for the Honorable Judge John Cross.
Yes, it's your very own Ginger Santa coming at you on this Christmas special edition, December Dueling Decades. Judge John Cross. Hi, hey everybody. Hello.
Tipping his shirt.
And for our two teams here tonight in the audience playing along at home, the rules of our game are quite simple. A coin flip will decide the team who goes first. The winning team will decide the topic of each round out of the 5 Dueling Decades categories: movies, TV, music, news, and of course, hot products. The first 3 rounds are worth 1 point apiece, with rounds 4 and 5 worth 2 points apiece. The judges' ruling will determine who wins each round, and the team and decade with the highest overall score after 5 rounds will be the victor. Gentlemen, let's play some Dueling Decades.
Dueling Decades.
All right, and the ceremonial coin toss this month is this dollar store Santa face made out of tinsel that still has a tagger on it. Look at that right there. So this week's choice is, do you want to be the Santa face, or do you want to be the wireframe at the back of his skull? Pick.
Who doesn't?
I want it on the face.
Let's have Mike call.
Mike wants it on the face.
All over the face.
Who doesn't love it on the face? All right, let's see what happens. We're going to throw this up in the air.
Take ourselves a
Go.
mustache ride.
It landed on the face,
Oh,
which means the skull
no.
is facing up.
Oh, okay. All right. This sounds like some Larry
It landed
David
on the
stuff
face.
going on. All right.
So the skull is facing up. So I'm sorry, Mike, you did not win the toss. Jason's Priestley's cock remains on top at this time.
Shit. All right, Mark, where do you want to start? I think probably news should go first.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
All right. Why don't you lay it on us?
All right, and I couldn't wait to talk about news because we finally get to talk about something here on Dueling Decades that we don't get to talk about often enough, and that's the NBA in the 1980s. Because on December 13th, 1983, with both teams entering the game on a 3-game losing streak, 9,655 fans in attendance at McNichols Arena in Denver, Colorado, they got a chance to see the Detroit Pistons defeat the Denver Nuggets by a score of 186 to 184 in a triple overtime barn burner, the highest scoring game in the history of the National Basketball Association. Isaiah Thomas led the way for the Detroit Pistons with 47 points, with Kiki Vanderway chipping in 51 for the Denver Nuggets. Alex English also finishing the game with 47 points. All in all, 6 players from each team scored in double figures. The two teams shot a combined 142 for 251 from the field, smashing all previous records. All in all, it's a record that still stands to this very day after over 45,000 NBA games played since the historic day it was broken, December 13th, 1983.
You know what makes that even a bigger accomplishment is the fact that it was 1983, where they played defense and
Yes.
fouled hard. Like, I could believe it. If that was a 2018 score, that would fly. But the fact that that's still a record and it's from 1983 is amazing.
Yeah, I was looking back at it, and you look at all the other games that are close to it that it beat, and there were games in the 50s and 60s, and to get anything in there's nothing in the top 20 in the last 10 years. In the last 20 years, I think there was only 2 entries. So those are records that still stand, and it's from a time where people played much more defense, like you said, than they do today.
Hell yeah, they hit you with a fucking elbow.
Yeah, that was Bill fucking Lambier on that Pistons team.
Yeah.
You tell me he didn't play defense. Yeah, he had a double-double in that game. He had double figures in rebounds. How do you get double figures in rebounds with that many points on the board?
Heard he came twice, too.
Cheat codes.
All right, so I'm going to switch gears here. We're going to move away from sports.
Yes.
We don't cover sports enough, though, so it is refreshing to hear that. December 1983, Paramount Pictures, they took a bold gamble. At the time, VHS and beta copies of newly released movies were selling for $79.95. So in terms of 2018, that's about $200. Picture paying $200 for a movie these days. All right, that's what people were doing back then. And VHS, like, people were getting them in their houses, like, you know, it was a really popular item at the time. But instead of going with the status quo, Paramount Pictures decided they were going to sell the newly released Raiders of the Lost Ark at $39.95. Now, at the time, this was an enormous gamble because of the price to replicate these movies and distribute them on VHS. It was a huge undertaking. But Paramount figured that their break-even point would have been selling about 180,000 copies at the price of $39.95. And that's what they were gunning for, just to break even, just to get into the market. However, they ended up selling 500,000 copies of Raiders of the Lost Ark, and they just followed the same formula again with Flashdance, and this paid off for Paramount, and then all the other studios started to follow suit. And then before you knew it, the prices of owning video started to come down dramatically. And obviously, we see where it led us to today. But if we had to pay those amounts back then, nobody would ever purchase them. But not only did they start like a trend in the industry of lowering these prices, but consumers also started to buy videos as gifts. And since this was December, it became one of the best-selling gifts of the holiday season was to buy a movie for $39.95. And it supplanted a lot of the video game sales that were going on at the time, which 1983 started to tank. So that's the story for December 1983. It's Paramount's big gamble with Raiders of the Lost Ark.
All right, throw it over to Jason Priestley's big cock.
It's not big.
Oh, it's
just
big?
cock.
It's just his cock. There was no word about how large it was.
Oh, okay. I'm
Yeah,
not going to say how I know that then. We'll just go to you guys.
You just made it pornographic. It's a children's show. All right, Bo, who's holding the cock? Me or you?
I'm going to go with you first, Mike. I'll take your esteemed lead here.
Oh, okay. Well, on December 9th, 1992, this royal couple proved that love and marriage do not always go together like a horse and carriage, when Britain's Prince Charles and Princess Diana released a statement announcing their separation after 11 years of marriage. The New York Times called it an unhappy ending to a storybook marriage gone badly wrong. The couple did not originally plan to divorce, but in August of 1996, they finally did. Princess Diana was killed in a car crash in Paris just 1 year later while making a midnight run to the store trying to find Crystal Pepsi.
He died in like 1998 or something.
She's still dead. It only matters what happens in 92.
Yeah, that's true.
You can't call her Princess Di anymore. It's Princess Dead.
I made the
past
part
tense.
about the Crystal Pepsi up, though. She
We
wasn't.
have a fellow Brit amongst us. Let's have a little respect here, gentlemen.
No. Fuck those scroungers.
We already know his point of view on this. It actually is interesting that that's come up now for the third time. This two motherfuckers have come up about their wedding and now they're divorced. So
Well,
thank God it's over.
It's because the only news that ever comes out of England that actually finally makes it to the US is royal family bullshit. It's like the only thing you guys ever report on. I mean, we're having this big fight with Europe right now, and like literally it's just fucking royal families have fucking kids. That's all I ever see on the news.
Hey, man, we got our own fucking problems.
We're trying to make America great again. Can we move on? All right,
Let me
Paul,
know when
what-
that happens.
What do you got?
This one was kind of everywhere. Maybe not necessarily this particular point of the story, but on December 2nd, 1992, Amy Fisher was sentenced to 5 to 15 years in prison after being found guilty of shooting and wounding Mary Jo Buttafuoco. She served 7 years.
Sales skyrocket.
She served 7 years, was granted parole in May 99 after the Supreme Court Judge Ira Wexner vacated her guilty plea and shortened her sentence.
Wow.
She
He's
lost
only
all
half
her
a person.
sentence after. Jesus Christ, I'm having a stroke over here. So she gets out of prison shortly after she becomes a columnist for the Long Island Press. And like all good affair type stories in the 90s, she had a short stint as a porn star,
I've seen it.
just like John Wayne Bobbitt.
But hers wasn't hers like an amateur shot?
I think she did more than just one.
I remember like her boyfriend put one out.
Did a little research this afternoon.
She did more than one pornography video, or she took more than one shot?
Both.
Probably both. I would-
Okay. Trying to cover my bases here.
Not a Mary Jo. That was only one shot.
Right.
Well, fortunately for her, it was only
Yeah.
She took most of her shots from old Joey.
one.
Old Joey. That's right. All right, over to Judge John Cross for the verdict for the first round.
All right, let's just recap these news stories. There was something about sport which I didn't understand, but I did appreciate the names. I thought the Detroit Pistons and the Denver Nuggets sounds very silly and twee. I enjoyed that most immensely. Something about the highest scoring game in the history of the NBA.
Nothing about Kiki Vandeweghe.
Yeah, right. Something about men in very, very small shots throwing their balls about. Very small shorts, sorry, throwing their balls around. And then the exciting news that VHS went down in price, and we were finally able to collect VHS, which is fantastic. It's a fantastic bit of news. And then we have Prince Charles and Diana separate, and Amy Fisher, the Long Island
the chess
Lolita,
queen.
was sentenced for not saying, wait a minute, your name is Buttafuoco? Okay, let's just dissect that for a second.
What a what?
Butterfuck what? Now, this is difficult to pick because you've got two stories I couldn't give a shit about. And then you've got Amy Fisher / porn, which is at least interesting because it involves tits at some point. And you have VHS Paramount Pictures, Raise the Lost Ark, lowering the price of VHS.
Which is tits.
Yeah, well, I'm surprised that the first VHS that was released at a lower cost was not a pornographic VHS. One would assume, porn being at the forefront of most technological advances, it would have been some sort of pornographic effort. It wasn't. It was Raiders of the Lost Ark. I'm going to go with December 83, simply because I think that those two news stories probably had more impact on the world as a whole over the course of the next 35 years than either of the other two.
Yes, but
So
my story had an impact on someone's hole.
Yeah, true. True.
It also created another hole in someone.
If it's any consolation, and I know it isn't, it was a tight contest between Amy Fisher's.
You say Amy Fisher, I say tight.
Yeah, those two don't belong in the same sentence. I don't
No,
think.
she was a minor at the time, and we all know from the last show how I feel about minors. So let's not go there.
Sorry to
I feel-
all you
I feel-
people in West Virginia.
I feel like they should stay down the fucking mine where they belong. Fucking children clawing themselves out of mines, trying to be part of normal society. Get back down there and dig me my coal. I'm trying to make America great again with all this coal everywhere.
Santa Claus is violent.
Yes, the ginger Santa Claus is here to bring perturbation and despair wherever he goes. So I'm sorry, Jason Priestley's cock. I would have loved to have given you a good rubbing. But the Mamalukes take it this first round.